to have your association. The next thing is that today we'll pray, we'll take shelter of his divine grace, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. This appearance day. Dronacharya, what time are the festivities at the temple? I mean, online.
Yeah. Well, yes, 10:30 today. We'll be reading, discussing, doing some bhajans.
So it's nice.
12 o'clock, they'll do the Pushpanjali and Guru Puja at the temple. We'll show it all online for those that can't make it.
So this is really good to know. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta gave us one of our greatest gifts of all time. He directly gave us Srila Prabhupada. He told Srila Prabhupada a couple of things. He says, if you ever get money, print books. And he told Srila Prabhupada to print them in the English language, to preach in the English language. So Srila Prabhupada came here, and he came with those books, and those books were in the English language, and Srila Prabhupada began to preach. So and this order was given to others, but Srila Prabhupada took it to heart. It shows the type of empowerment that takes place when we take to heart the instructions of the spiritual master. So because of that, Srila Prabhupada came. And because of that, we're from all different corners of the world, but we're together. We're united in purpose and consciousness because of Srila Prabhupada. And our true identity has been restored. Not the eternal one yet. We're going to know that one a little later. After that Japa gets better, we'll really know our Siddhadeya. But so anyway, I thank you. And it also is, my throat's a little messed up today, but it's also very nice for me chanting with you. If you can come any day, but if you come on Saturdays and come a little early and we can chant, it gets a little ruckus. So if some people don't like loud chanting and they cut it off, that's fine. But for me, when I hear you chanting, instead of my mind being extra strong, your japa is like a safety net. There's Krishna over here, Krishna over there. Is your son Mukunda? Mukund Krishna? Is that your son Ram?
Yeah, Prabhuji, he's my son.
I'm telling you, I love his japa. He gets serious in the morning, so that's great. It's nice. It's very inspiring for me. But we can't stay where we're at. Last year, we got introduced to the fact that we needed to chant better and come together. This year, we need to go deeper. During the course of the year, we really will begin to go through the Shashtastika prayers of Lord Chaitanya. We'll really begin to try to understand Lord Chaitanya, Lord Chaitanya. If you've ever appreciated the Bhagavad Gita, when the Bhagavad Gita is over and you understand that you have to do your duty, which is, what is my occupational duty? Jivas Rupahaya Krishna Das. We're all eternal servants of Krishna. In the Christian language, Lord Jesus says, love thy God with all thy heart. And so Lord Chaitanya says the same thing. But when Krishna stops and asks us to just, abandon all these different dharmas, just surrender unto him, he shall protect us. Then here comes Lord Chaitanya, and this particular manifestation of Krishna, Lord Chaitanya comes and he shows us how to surrender to Krishna. And he shows us what love of God looks like. So he's masked. He's Krishna manifesting as a devotee. And here he comes to do something. I often give the analogy that when Krishna and Radharani speak, and she says, well, you've asked him to surrender. Is that working for you? Krishna, I told him, Sarvadharma Pratyaja. She says, okay. She said, well, maybe we do it my way. Why don't we just give him love of God? So that Radha and Krishna together, that manifestation is Lord Chaitanya. He's teaching us, but he's giving us the highest love of God. He's giving us the highest. And so, just to be sure, he also wants to taste it as well, because the devotees have something. The devotees can taste the sweetness of Krishna. And so Lord Chaitanya, specifically, he wants to taste that. And studying the life of Lord Chaitanya, you find that if we could ever chant the pure name, everything would be completely different. And it's not even about what we get from the process. It is about restoring our consciousness to being servants of Krishna. What could be more wonderful for us than to be reinstated in the family and to do things 20 all the time just because we're trying to please Krishna? So we're working on it. Okay, Mother, that's my 2 cents. I can't keep my mouth shut sometimes. So we're going to continue with Nam Rahasya. That's where I stopped it, huh? We stopped at both Lord Brahman and Bhaktivinoda Thakur advisors. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
we're in the chapter of Yukta Vairagya.
We're still in Yukta Vairagya. I was really spaced out last week. I told you at the end. Okay. Well, where's my mother at?
I'm here, Prabhu.
Okay. Please start.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur summarizes appropriate renunciation or attachment in his comment on Bhajan Rahasya 240. Accept the kind of work necessary for keeping yourself alive without engaging in gossip. Do not work for the sake of pleasing the senses. Act in such a way that your powers of speech and thought are healthy and that you do not lose your commitment to appropriate renunciation. How to engage even the conditioned soul's 6 enemies to help one make spiritual advancement will be discussed in Appendix A. When beginning a journey, it is good to first gain an overview of the landmarks one will pass. Later, when one is familiar with them, it becomes more important to look at a detailed map of the area. Relating this to chanting, those who wish to unlock the divine secrets of the name should first gain an overall perspective. See the greater picture, so to speak.
Wow. That's nice. I have a request, Mother.
Mm-hmm.
I have a request from Mukund. He wants to read. I want to give him a paragraph. So he asked me, can he read today? Let's give him a paragraph.
All right.
Are you here?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, I'm here. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay, let's get going.
The right perspective and important truth. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that from the very beginning, the chanter needs to have the right understanding of the spiritual or unearthly nature of the holy name. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
Keep going.
Okay. Even before entering the field of Nam Bhajan, one should first know for certain that Krishna's form, Krishna's name, Krishna's service, and Krishna's servants are all eternally free. That is, they are beyond the grasp of Maya, the illusory energy. Krishna, his transcendental abode, and his paraphernalia are totally beyond material imagination. Similarly, his throne, his rooms, his gardens, forest, Govardhan Hill, and the river Yamuna, in fact, everything about Krishna cannot be touched by Maya. It is especially important to remember the transcendental nature of the Lord Sri Krishna. When we approach his service, of one chanting his holy name is foremost, this understanding is not based on blind belief but on absolute and eternal truth. Sri Chaitanya Shikshamrita, 6th rainfall, 3rd shower. Hare Krishna.
I have to tell you something. I love your reading, and we're going to be doing something on the evenings. We'll tell you about that later on the Bhagavad Gita. And maybe you can call in and I'll have you read a lot. If you were close, I'd have you reading to me all the time. So you're fired up, you know. Obeisances, thank you so very much. This section, sweet. Right perspective. Let's not get it confused. We say get it twisted. To understand that Krishna and everything about him is spiritual. It is not material. It's not touched by Maya. I'm not going to go far because we're going to go back quickly. But it started off with gaining the right perspective. So we want to see that. And it's interesting how he's saying that, but it will come into play that we'll see things from a material perspective. And it just sneaks in, it creeps in there. His servants also. So we have to be very careful when dealing with Krishna. Krishna is all spiritual. He's all eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Him and all of his paraphernalia. His name, his form, his pastimes, Vrindavan, Govardhan. And oftentimes we can't see properly. And remember, we've been placed in ignorance. So we get flashes, we come out of that ignorance. But the soul itself, the soul is just like Krishna. You know, we're just tiny. And in our right state, that's why Maya can't, we become confused. The body, our identification, we misidentify and we think that everything is for our enjoyment and everything is temporary. But everything is for Krishna's pleasure. So we got to keep that point on from the right perspective. I'm going to let you go on, but I think it's good that we remember that. Okay, Mother, let's continue.
Prabhu, I was also thinking about the previous the paragraph that I had read about to not work for the sake of pleasing our senses and act in such a way.
Turn to it and put it on the board as you're speaking.
Act in such a way that your powers of speech and thought are healthy and that you do not lose your commitment to appropriate renunciation. And the word, one of the things that they said is not to gossip. And a lot of times, I think we have to look within ourselves and see if we are doing it. It was just funny. Yesterday, my daughter was talking and, they got together, the girls got together, and she came back and she said some of her friends were being very toxic. And I said, before you look at them and say they are being toxic, look at yourself. Were you or are you sometimes toxic to somebody else? Because that is within your control. You can try and not be toxic to others. If others are toxic to you, there's not a whole lot you can do about that. And it's the same thing here. I think we have to make sure that we are doing all of these things within ourselves. We correct ourselves. We try and not please our senses instead of looking outside to correct things on the outside. I think that was just one thing that I was reflecting on as I was reading that paragraph. Very important to look within ourselves critically. Look at ourselves critically before we look for problems outside.
Yeah, It starts with accept the kind of work necessary for keeping yourself alive without engaging in gossip.
Mm.
That gossip, it's funny because the mothers got a bad rap for gossiping. So y'all own that rap, but men gossip like crazy. You know, it's either village talk or just useless talk. And men do it also. So we do it. Why do we do it? Why do we do this useless talk? Because we're trying to enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Even when we speak nonsense, you know, we're still trying to be the enjoyers, the controllers.
Mm-hmm.
But Rupa Goswami says, Prajalpa Niyamagraha, kick out the Prajalpa.
Mm-hmm.
It spoils our devotional service. Like the analogy is like the croaking of the frog. Frog keeps croaking like that. Snake knows where he's at and comes to get him. So Maya understands where we're at. The Prajalpa is one of the heaviest things that can be done. And the antidote for Prajalpa is glorification of Krishna or Krishna's devotees.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of talking nonsense with someone, you can glorify the devotees. Just start telling them about the wonderful things about the devotees, or wonderful things about the process of devotional service, or the sweetness of Krishna, the sweetness of the process of Krishna consciousness. Because it's really, when you really look at it, Krishna consciousness is all sweet. It's but seen from the right perspective. When I'm going through a very difficult time, I'm thinking, God, this is so hard. This is not working. But if I change, just tilt the perspective a little bit and say, wow, this test that I'm taking right now is a little difficult. I should have been more prepared for this, but I'm going to give it the best I've got. I'm going to pass this test. And if I don't, the next time I have to take this test, I'm going to be prepared. I'm going to ace it. And you have the same mentality when you grab your weights. If you're lifting weights and they're heavy, but when you want to get better, you take the heavier weight and you go to the next one and you increase it. And what happens? You become stronger.
Okay.
So as we go through the process in Krishna consciousness, we have to change the way we see things. Oftentimes we're just being tested. It's another test. But when we see it like that, it works for us. Similarly, Krishna consciousness, all we have to do is take the experience of Krishna consciousness and share it. And whatever we do, change it. See it from Krishna's perspective. See it from a devotional point of view. And you'll find that there's only good stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
Humility is the key. If we first become humble, then which is our knowledge. Humility opens the gate. And then from humility, we become grateful. So it's hard to be humble and grateful and proud at the same time,
Yes.
So it's pretty nice. I heard those points, but I just thought I would take too long, so I let you continue to go. But Mother, I really thank you for taking us back there. It means you're hearing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go back.
Knowledge of Krishna, his divine associates, their world, and how to engage in service there come to us through the pure heart of realized devotees who either have both feet on the transcendental platform or one foot there and one foot here. The second type of realized devotee can perceive the divine reality with his spiritual eyes, heart, and other senses. By coming in contact with such devotees and listening to them. Yeah?
Could you give me that paragraph once more? Could you just go back into the knowledge of Krishna?
Yeah. Knowledge of Krishna, his divine associates, their world, and how to engage in service there come to us through the pure heart of realized devotees who either have both feet on the transcendental platform or one foot there and one foot here. This second type of realized devotee can perceive the divine reality with his spiritual eyes, heart, and other senses. By coming in contact with such devotees and listening to them, seeing them, or reading their writings, sparks of realization fly from their heart, fires into our hearts, and light the fire of our own transcendental realization. This fire will burn our material misconceptions to ashes.
I just want to let us rest and just leave that there. I don't want to say anything. I just want us to reflect on what was just said.
So what I understand here is Golokananda prayer is that we should hear and read books from pure devotee, then that will have an effect on our own realization. So it's very
Yes,
important.
that's one aspect of it. You know, that's one aspect of receiving it. Yes, we're receiving the mercies flowing down. You can read those books. You can hear them. You can hear their lectures. Just coming in contact with them. I mean, it's not a better analogy. By coming in contact with such devotees and listening to them, seeing them, it just says seeing them. You would see Srila Prabhupada so many, and you start crying. I mean, men, women, you start crying. Why? Just there was something in Srila Prabhupada that just broke you down. Whether you're listening to him, whether you see him, if you were in right consciousness, it breaks you down. Prabhupada's not the only pure devotee, because he's made a whole bunch, and there's other pure devotees. But for our experience, our example, you hear from them, then something happens. What's actually taking place? It says by coming in contact with such devotees and listening to them, seeing them, or reading their writings, sparks of realization fly from their heart fires into our hearts and light the fire of our own transcendental realization. This fire will burn our material misconceptions to ashes. This shows you the process of coming in contact with, with a pure servant of the Supreme Lord and taking shelter. Think about it. You're going to be able to talk about it more. Okay, Mother, come on. I just thought that was too good to roll past.
I'm just thinking, what about those who give class are not on this platform, who is not a pure devotee? They're not pure devotee, but still, they're talking about Krishna. So even our society, in ISKCON society, we have a lot of pure soul, but a lot of us are not come to that level of being pure, but still, they're giving class and talking about Krishna. What will you say about it?
I say, on his order, Srila Prabhupada said, repeat what has been said. And whatever your realization is, you explain from your realization. So that is our process. The more we hear and we chant. And we go, and then we explain. Just as the simplest thing is that a young person can be able to explain to you that fire is hot. Because if a person accidentally touches that fire and is burned, he can tell you with conviction the fire is hot. So to whatever extent we realize the scriptures, we share that. The next thing is that we're repeating something that's not this, what we're repeating is transcendental and on his order. So that is the prescribed method. So yes, do you gain? Of course you gain from hearing from a person who hasn't become a pure devotee yet. So Prabhupada said, he said, how many disciples did he have? He said, all my disciples are pure devotees. So all mangoes, you may see a mango that's already ripe, a mango that's still kind of green, but ultimately the process will manifest and let you see how sweet a real mango actually is. So for me, if you hear, all hearing, and you won't say it's the same, but you will, if you're the proper recipient, there's a qualification for the speaker, but there's also a qualification for the listener. Are we of the qualification of being able to hear with rapt attention according to Srimad Bhagavatam, that explanation? I don't think so. So to the extent we're able to hear, even if we get drops, then the process, that's why the Bhagavatam says by regular attendance in class on Srimad Bhagavatam, all those troublesome things in the heart become practically destroyed to nil. And loving service to the transcendent, to the Supreme Lord becomes established in a way that can't be turned back. And it explains the process, the modes of, as you go on doing this, the modes of passion and ignorance, Rajas and Tamas, that knot that's in the heart, it loosens up. And as it loosens up, we become elevated a little more towards goodness. There's such a mixture of the modes. And then from the goodness, we can see a thing as it is. We hear differently. But we're also in another process. So we're in a purificatory process, Bhagavatam, and then we're Chaitanya Dharpana, and then we're also chanting, which is a prescribed method for this age. So between the chanting and the hearing, Shravanam Kirtanam, what do you get? Vishnu Smaranam, Krishna Smaranam. And this is our process. So it isn't that we should think of the next speaker as some lesser person. No, we want to hear. Much chita matkata pranam bojan tak parasparam katayan chastamam nicham tushanti charamanticha. Krishna says, the thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully surrendered unto my service. And they derive great satisfaction and even bliss by always enlightening one another and conversing about me. It gets better. We get better. We're in the process. So we want to hear. But those special souls that carry that fire in their heart, we hear from them. We definitely want to hear from them. But don't leave the class because the speaker today, you thought, oh, he's not that good. No. We can always, there's repeating the scriptures. There's always something for us to hear. I hope that helps a little bit, Mother.
Hare Krishna, Hare Yasha Prabhu. What I hear here is that this spiritual knowledge is never achieved. The transcendental platform isn't achieved. It's imparted. It's given. It's something that we can just on our own say, okay, well, I'm going to master this. It's imparted. We're dependent on the mercy coming from above. It takes me to the Bhagavad Gita. Tadvadi pranipratena pariprakshena sevaya. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because they have first seen the truth. It's a process of mercy that's being passed down, receiving that mercy and qualifying ourselves to try to receive that mercy. That's what I see here. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, good eyes. What I hear is, fills my heart with Divya Gyan, with transcendental knowledge. He is my Lord, birth after birth. By him, ecstatic prem emanates. From him, ecstatic prem. There's that fire. From him, he fills the heart with Divya Gyan, and from him, ecstatic prem emanates. By him, ignorance is destroyed. The Vedic scriptures sing of his character. Our spiritual masters, the ocean of mercy. That's mercy, but imagine an ocean of mercy. Friend of the poor and Lord Master. So, but what is our qualification? You said it in Tadvini Veda Twam Som Yatat Sarvam Tat Tadanugrahat Purus Nignasha Shashasha Garavo Guyam Apyutam. Says it in Sharanya Sutta. And because you were submissive, that's a huge word for us. And because you were submissive, your spiritual masters endowed you with all the favors bestowed upon a gentle and learned disciple. Now, please scientifically explain to us all that you've learned from them. Srila Prabhupada, first line of her report, the secret to success in spiritual life is to get the genuine blessing of the spiritual master. And submissiveness. That submissiveness to the instructions. Then that fire, you open up and it goes. You open up your heart and the fire comes in. Can you see it, Drona?
I can. A little. It's.
But I like it. I like it. My mother, thank you. I like it when you share. I like it when we read and the devotees tell. What you were given, Mother, you were given your realizations. And that is worthy of sharing. Krishna says we become enlightened and enlivened. Okay, let's continue.
The right perspective, an important truth. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out that from the very beginning, the chanter needs to have the right understanding.
Wait 1 second, where are we?
Page 26. Oh, sorry. Oh, that is 28. Yeah. Introduction to the meaning of the holy name.
We finished the other one?
Yes, we did.
Let me see what time we have because that one's going to become long. Gopala. That's got some stuff that even has me bewildered too half the time. How much time do we have? Let me see. It's 7. I think, I know what I want to do. Because if we go there, we won't be able to go there nicely. Okay, go to the beginning. Go back. I want us to recap. Go to Waking from the Dream. Makun.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Get ready. You're gonna do some spot reading for us, and you're gonna help out.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Give you some engagements today. You're gonna start, and then I'll stop you. Come on, read.
When the soul slowly awakens from the dream of material life, it can understand that it has long served ungrateful masters, the mind and body. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes, at that time, the awakened soul says in effect to the mind and body, I am not identical with you. I don't want what you require. I have long believed that I was identical with both of you and that we share the same interests. But now I find that I am categorically different from you. I made wholly from the principle of self-consciousness, while both of you are made of dead matter. I refuse to be a slave anymore. Vaishnavism, real and apparent.
Stop there. So Do you remember? I'm asking to the audience, do y'all remember when we were here? This was the start of our journey. Bring it down a little bit, Drona, so we can see it a little more. When we first started, we were waking up from the dream. And do you remember what that dream is? We've been covered over materially. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, said, he explains this so nicely that, he wrote he used to think, I used to think that my mind and body, that we had the same interests, but I come to find out that we don't. We're made of spirit and they're matter. We're eternal and temporary. And he said, I refuse to be a slave anymore. Dead matter. I refuse. I'm summarizing. Do you remember this point? This is the point of us starting on our journey, the awakening. Each and every one of us has had a time in our life when we no longer wanted to just identify with our body and mind. We wanted something more, and we realized that we were servants of God. So that's waking up from the dream. And he explains how it's very easy, if you don't have good support, that you can relapse, you can fall back to sleep. Mommy didn't come back in there and say, come on, get out. And then next thing you know, you're sitting on the side of the bed and you're sleeping again. This is what happens when we're not strong enough yet. Maya gets us again and takes us back under. But how wonderful is it that we awaken to the reality that we're eternal servants of Krishna. This is one of the first lessons we got. Go up, Drona. I can't remember. If anyone remembers anything in this section, I'm not staying here. Oh, he's talking about, in the beginnings, we're divided souls. We have tendencies both towards material and spiritual. Yeah. Because we know that now what we're supposed to do, but we still have an attachment to the things that we've been doing. And although we're trying to wake up, therefore, keep pulling it up. We have to become strong. We have to, and what makes us strong? Sadhu Sangha. By good, Rupa Goswami says, all we do is bring to the program a little faith, without shraddha. And the next thing is Sadhu Sangha. It is powerful. The association of devotees is where our strength comes. Remember that fire, it's in the hearts. We will not yet strong.
I think this phrase, this is very powerful right here. He said the concepts of I and mine are still there, though they may be a little more spiritualized. That stuck with me, because there's still an attachment to our material situation. But it's not so much that we have a spiritual life. There's an attachment to spiritualizing our material situation in the beginning. That stood out to me. We often suffer from a divided mind, torn between the good things we now truly want, or at least we know we should want, and the things that we actually do.
Well, that's an awakening without the deep realization. Realization doesn't come cheap. We're awake to the reality of what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to want, who we are supposed to be. But I like the point you made about the attachment, because our real problem, we think of so many things, but our real problem comes from attachment. Dayato Vishvarapong Sam, while contemplating the objects of the senses, what's the first thing that happens? One develops an attachment. I know we're forced to contemplate. We see where our senses, the knowledge acquiring senses, the eyes, the ears. So we're bombarded. So, but then we start zooming in. So while contemplating what? The objects of the senses, that car that I wanted, that husband that I wanted, whatever it is, one develops an attachment. From attachment, what happens? Lust develops. This lust is simply a desire to enjoy separately from Krishna. That is not good, you know? And, you know, it's already happened because we became attached, you know? And, you know, unfulfilled lust, anger, and frustration arises. One becomes angry, his intelligence becomes bewildered. When your intelligence is bewildered, your memory of who you actually are becomes lost. I'm eternal servant of Krishna. And then you fall back to the material pool. So you're still acting, I'm like this. Well, you hear the devotees say it all the time, but I'm like this. That I am mine, that's material. But we try to spiritualize it a little bit. But as the other mother, Goloka Priya would say, but we have to become purified. As we adhere to the process, we become purified. And when we become purified, I am a servant. I belong to Krishna. You know, mine, what's mine? Nothing's mine. And this isn't, you know, this isn't pretense, and it's also not low self-esteem. It is a manifestation of knowledge. Manifestation of knowledge is humility. When you constantly hear about the Supreme Lord and his devotees, and it begins to sink in, then you begin to act on what you've heard and understood. And the first act is an act of humility. Why? Because if you see the Lord or the Lord's servant, immediately you're aware of your fragile, just sometimes disgusting position. We're eternal servants of God. We have a spiritual form, and we're here in this nasty body, which in 50, 90, whatever, it's over. If it hangs around, it starts rotting and falling apart. The teeth get loose, the hearing's bad, and you can't see. It just gets bad. And if you don't wash it, forget it. So it's not so nice, but we think it's important. But as we go on hearing, then we realize, God, I'm eternal and I'm stuck in this body. So we make the best use of a bad bargain. We use everything in the service of the Supreme. By seeing ourselves as servants of Krishna, then we use those arms and legs. Maharaj Ambarish uses legs, go to the temple, his hands and embracing the devotees, his eyes and seeing the deity, you know, sense of smell and smelling the tulsi buds, and all these different aspects of what he did made him become a Matpara devotee, very dear devotee of the Lord. This, what we hear, is going to happen to us. It is happening to us. We're just in a shaky stage right now. But that's why we're associating and listening to these things, because we're going to become better and we're going to become stronger. Somebody tell me what it is that's going to take us over the top, that's going to make us become stronger and better, that's going to enable us to become pure. What is it?
Hearing and chanting?
Yeah, but specifically, get specific.
Taking shelter.
Shelter of who? What?
Of the Lord and of our spiritual master.
Yeah, Nam Prabhu, the spiritual master, gave you a gift. He gave us the holy name. She says, this book, how is it relevant to you? Okay, I'll tell you how this book is relevant. You weren't born 30 or 20 years ago either. You're just as old as this book. We're eternal. But mother, it's because of the holy name. The holy name. The holy name is Radha, and they've come. Lord Chaitanya is come to give us that purifying element, which is Krishna. This is Krishna, just like the holy name is Krishna. And he comes in the form of sound. And the holy name cleanses everything. It enables us to it rids us of the subtle body. It completely dissolves the subtle body, and it reveals to us our eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Who gave it to you? Guru. Guru gave you to take this Maha Mantra, but you have to chant it. You have to be careful not to commit those 10 offenses. You have to not chant mechanically. Excuse me. We have to not chant mechanically, because I don't want to get it confused. We have to learn to beg for the nectar. Us and the transformation. There's nothing stronger of all the orders of the spiritual master. The one to chant the 16 rounds and increase it, the one to continue chanting. Nam Prabhu is our answer. If ever you were looking for a magic formula, we got it. This is better than when I was coming up with a thing called Love Potion number 9. This is it. It's the mantra. So we chant and we say, Krishna, Krishna, so long, for so long, I've been in the material world. I've forgotten you. I've abandoned you. See, there's the humility for so long. But today I am your, I'm your servant. Today, I'm trying to be your sincere servant. I'm begging you, please engage me in your service. And so when you ask Krishna that, not lip service, from the heart, he feels it. Why? Because he's already loving us. And when he sees you waking up to the reality that you are not as strong as his external, as his inferior energy, that we have no win in that fight, in that game. So as you go to him, he begins to empower you. And he cleans us up. And the next thing you know, you're chanting the holy name attentively, you're hearing it, you're tasting it. The taste isn't about tasting it. Daruka, he cursed the ecstasy he was feeling when he was fanning the Lord. So no, but it's there. So we just keep moving up on the path, but it's all about the holy name. It's all Krishna. Krishna is everything. Bhagavatam is Krishna. The holy name is Krishna. Lord Chaitanya is Krishna. That beautiful Krishna on a chariot of Arjuna, that's Krishna. Baby Gopal, Krishna. It's all about Krishna. The moment we realize it's all about Krishna and begin to act in such a way that we belong to Krishna, then our lives become much better. And he's really doing everything for us. All we have to do is have a desire, be serious and sincere. I have to leave, Prabhu, for the temple, okay? Is that Mother Shobha Radhe? Who said they have to leave for the temple?
Not sure.
Who's that? For the class.
I think that was
that's
Prabhu.
okay. So anyway, Mother Shobha Radhe, are you still here?
Yes, Prabhu, I'm here.
Okay, Mother, so first of all, I always want to thank you because I love what you do. But do you understand? I want all of us to understand that it's all about Nam Prabhu. And the spiritual master, he's coming, he's dropping those seeds, Brahmanya Brahmate Kon, Bhagyavan Jeev, Guru Krishna Prasade Pai, Bhakti Lata Beach. When we're ready, when that from some good fortune, the living entities, and there's so many of us wandering all over the universe, but due to some good fortune, we have a desire. And Krishna sends the spiritual master, and the spiritual master, on Krishna's order, he implants the seed of devotion within the heart of the living entity. Guru Krishna, they're working together. Prasade Pai, the mercy, Bhakti Lata Beach, is that they implant the seed of devotion. And hearing and chanting is the watering process for this, to enable this seed of devotion to grow. So it's good. I don't know if you have any reflections, come on with it. I can't wait to hear from you.
Hariyashra Prabhu, thank you. I actually was, I reflect on this a lot about the concept of humility, and that it's, we have to become humble, but it's, is it kind of a fake it till you make it? We become humble through the process of devotional service and chanting. And over time, the humility comes in. Is it, but becoming humble, is that a choice that we can make, and we can just say, I'm going to be humble, and we make different decisions? How do we become, what's the fastest route to becoming humble?
Well, humility, there's different reasons for humility. Is not, one explanation is not to be anxious to be glorified by others. Another meaning is to be aware of our own shortcomings. So knowledge, humility is just a manifestation of knowledge. If you really get it, you'll be humble. And what is it to get? That I'm an eternal servant of the Supreme Lord. And somehow I'm in this body thinking that I'm somebody special. And this body, I try to make it look good and feel good, but this body and these senses are pulling me to hell. But if I could just keep it together and use this in the service of the Lord, then the very same thing that was going to hurt and entangle me will liberate me. And so what does that mean? Bhakshimam Abhijananti Yavanya Shashmi Tatvataha. Krishna says one can know me as I am, as the Supreme Lord, only by devotional service. So we have to get engaged in devotional service. And how do we get engaged in devotional service? It has to be given. Bhakti is within the heart. Bhakti is a quality of the living entity. Bhakti is there within us. I forget who I was talking to. Karma and Jnana are not a part of the soul, but Bhakti is a part of the soul. And so as we engage under the direction, it's all from the spiritual master. The blessing of humility is that we take a submissive approach to the spiritual master and his order. We hear it, and we take that because we're ready. We need time to understand who we are, who he is, and can this relationship take place? When we come to the point of bhajana kriya, we should have already associated with the devotees, and now we had a little faith. Now my faith is stronger. Why? Because I've heard, I've read some things, I've understood, and it's touching my heart. I have to do this. It is the next stage for me, not a calculation of moving up, but because my heart says this will take me back to God the way I want to be. So there is a connection. There's a vow that we take. There's a commitment. Externally is the ceremony. The vow, it really happened within me. I knew that I'm ready to commit myself to this process. So the cultivation of knowledge is there, but by putting it in motion, you realize that this process is beyond me. In order for it to happen, I have to submit to the formula, which has become, and so we do the things that are asked of us. We refrain from intoxication and gambling, meeting illicit activity. Why? Because that's, again, knowledge. Because we don't engage in these things, then the lower modes of material nature, it's not so easy for them to push us around. We're going to move on a platform of goodness, no intoxications. Now, The point is, this doesn't establish us, but it opens the door. Now we can hear. We're not blocking our own blessings, so to speak. We can hear, we can chant, we can serve. And the process itself, because we're eternal servants of Krishna, because bhakti is dormant within us, the process begins to awaken, just like the awakening of the soul that we're talking about. Who's waking up? I'm waking up. The process is waking me up. So you see? And so as I awake, I become humble. The opposite of humility is pride. Pride means I think I'm in the controller. I think I'm the enjoyer. I think I'm in charge. But we don't have that power. And whatever power we have has been given is coming from another source. And it's temporary. But we can be connected. Actually, our true position is extremely powerful. As servants of God, look at the Panchatattva and you see the Vishnu Tattvas, the energy of the Lord, the Jivatma, all on the same spiritual platform. So that's our reinstatement. That's our reinstatement, that we get back on that platform of who we are. And pride means that we think we're our body, we're our mind, we're the controller. Humility means I'm aware of my position. I belong, I'm your eternal servant. I want to grow deeper in that understanding. I want to be reinstalled as your pure servant. And so we act. And the more you do that, the more you'll see the Supreme Lord. And you see him working. And the more you see him, the more humble you become. As you see him, you can't deny him. You can't pretend, because you're seeing the Supreme Lord. That's why the advanced devotees are so humble. It's not the demeanor, it is the heart. They're humble because they're aware of who they're representing, who they're serving. They see the greatness. In closing, Lord Jesus Christ, who I thought as a young boy, as a Christian, I said, God, Christ is so awesome. He's always talking about his father and his father's house and how great his father is. I said, how can his father be any greater than him? Look how awesome Christ is. But Christ saw his father. And because of seeing his father, he was awesome. He was humble. You see, Srila Prabhupada was humble. Humble because he could see Krishna. And if you see with our eyes, the awareness of Krishna makes us humble. Anyway, I hope in some way, because I ramble so much, I can't help it, I'm always all over the place. But I hope that you're able to understand that a little, Mother Vrindavaneshwari.
Yes, thank you.
I thank you for always getting out there on the limb. And you know I'm like a run-on sentence. I can't stop. But yeah, humility comes from really understanding. We have no other position but to be humble. If we are humble, we can receive the Lord's grace. If we're proud, pride covers knowledge. Humility is a manifestation of it. Okay, guys, we're moving to close. It's getting dangerous. We're hitting the danger zone. I'm getting late. Is there any last points?
Jai Prabhu, Haribol, this is Chintamani. Thank you so much for your sharing. You were just saying that you were rambling, but I just love all the points that you make. I just take notes. So there's like so many nice points, but the 2 points I'm going to leave with is when you said non-Prabhu is our answer. If we were looking for a magic potion, we got it. So that is very powerful, because sometimes, I might wish, how do I say? Anytime I'm looking for magic, you have reminded us that Nam Prabhu is the magic. So I want to thank you for that. And I'm still trying to get over that first quote when it talked about how the sparks of realization fly from their heart fires into our hearts. That is so phenomenal. That imagery is so consoling to me. So when it says, when we come in contact, we listen to them, just see them, read their writings. So that is such a consolation. And the more that I can continue to try to absorb myself in these Zoom classes and hearing and just looking at the pictures of the great devotees, the sparks are just flying. It's like everything's so available. I don't even have to go to the fire. The sparks flying across the room coming to me, and then I'm trying to dodge out the way most of the time. So I just thank you so much for this Sangha. I thank all the devotees who come every Saturday. I can't come every week, but every time I come, I'm so inspired. So I thank all of you, and I thank you, Haryashra. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother. Remember, in the prayer we use it to the spiritual master. You know, it says right there. You see the process. You know, I somehow I can't hear the Sanskrit. I can't hear this prayer right now, but it says, "He fills my heart with transcendental knowledge." You know, he is. You know.
Divyagan Hirde Prakasito.
Divyagan Ride. See, Divyagan Ride, the heart. Prokosito. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adama. He's the ocean of mercy. Lokana, Lokana Divana. Oh, man, we have so much to thank Srila Prabhupada for.
Prabhupada. That's wonderful.
Okay. Thank you so much. I got just a point to tell you. Don't forget, you can tune in. The glorification of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, wonderful, and they're yeah, I think that's it. So I just ask you one thing before we leave, and Makun, you're my man. I tell you, we're going to be reading together. Please accept my humble obeisance advice. I was Vanchakalpa, Tubhyascha.
Hare Krishna. Thank you
Hare
very much.
Krishna. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you very much, Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Happy New Year,
Krishna,
everyone. Nice
Happy
to
New
see
Year,
Happy New
everyone.
Year.
Prabhuji.
Night
Happy New
all.
Year.
New Year. Hare
Happy
Krishna.
New Year to everybody. Thank you very much, Prabhu.
Oh, yeah. Panchatattva, we were partying. ISKCON. Okay. Drona? That was Drona who had to leave, huh? Okay, that's it. We're out of here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.